So it's finally that time again, the time to talk about the new Battlefield season. And here we have Battlefield 2042 Season 3. Now, last week I said at the end of the week I'd be talking about my thoughts and feelings on all the new content, but last week I didn't get to try it all. But now, as of today, I have played with every single piece of meaningful content that there is to cover in 2042. So, let's go through it all, my opinions on it, what I think of it, some of the minor problems it has, and what better way to start than with the new map, Spearhead. Now, this one started off as a bit of a mixed bag for me. I mean, visually, it looks great. I knew that from the get-go, but it felt like a bit of a meat grinder in places, and I know a lot of people like that, but personally, that's not quite my style. The map felt a little bit too small for the amount of vehicles that have been put into it, but over time, the player base learned how the map flows. On launch day, it's always a complete mess because people don't really know where they're going, but it's settled in nicely now. If you want to avoid vehicles, you can. If you want to play around with vehicles, you can also do that. So it offers good options for both styles of players. I do want to talk about the layout. It does remind me a lot of Battlefield 1's maps in a very, very good way. It feels fairly linear, it's easy to push between objectives, and can I also just say the environmental effects are stunning in this map. I mean, look at this clip I played earlier with the jet, look at the missiles in the background, the flaming facilities, how good the shaders on the map look. I mean, if these are the shaders that we're going to get for the Manifest and the Breakaway rework, bring it on, because they look incredible. So overall, Spearhead has really impressed me. It's a fun map. It adds a bit of diversity. It even furthers the lore in places, which is always appreciated for myself and other people like Comet, and I'm a very big fan of it. Next, we have the new specialist, Zain, with his airburst rifle. Now, let's start with his little trait first. When you get a kill, your health is replenished much faster. This is great for rushing assault people like me. Being able to get a kill, pushing our health back up quickly, and then rushing into the fray again to kill a few more people or take an objective is a really useful feature to have. And his airburst rifle, as you can see on screen, is really good at getting behind positions, taking out snipers. There is a bit of a learning curve to it, but once you get it, it can be a really helpful tool, especially in Breakthrough on Stranded, as you can see here. Those sniper positions, the pesky ones up there, you can decimate them all pretty easily with Zain's airburst rifle, but it does take a bit of positioning and a bit of experience to really know when and where to use it and how. So I don't think it's too overpowered or anything like that. As for new weapons, let's start with the railgun. Now, this one I was fairly impressed by in my video last week. It's essentially hit scan at most ranges, as you can see there. Counter sniping, taking out people is great. It's a really useful tool for taking out vehicles like Condors. It's really good at hunting bolts. You can chip away at that armor very easily, and I know this is something that the Battlefield team are looking into. The devs are looking into maybe nerfing the vehicle damage, which is fair enough. It's quite strong right now, and they kind of want to leave a role for the NTW50 to play, because right now there's not too much point in using it when the railgun is this good. It's one that I really didn't see myself enjoying that much when the trailers came out, but putting it in sniper mode and counter sniping and taking out people has really been a lot of fun. As I said, this one's seemingly getting a nerf, but I could also see it getting a nerf against infantry in some way. I'm not sure how this would really work. Maybe lowering projectile velocity, but that kind of defeats the point. Or maybe lowering damage. But either way, right now it is an absolute monster for clearing objectives at a distance and taking out light vehicles. Even some like the EBLC Ram, like here, are pretty easy to take out with it. It's an all-round really solid weapon. But it does have a small issue, which I will get onto later, that is prevalent with all of the new weapons that have come out with this patch. But as I said, we'll go over that later with the small problems I've had with the season so far. Now, I'm not going to get onto the names of all of the other weapons because, frankly, the naming schemes are kind of ridiculous. I get what they're going for, but I can't remember them. So let's just call this gun the pistol with the ammo counter because that's what it is. Now, I see this one as a bit of a surrogate for the MP28. It's good at close to medium ranges. It can hit those longer shots if you're a sniper. I personally didn't find its burst mode as effective as the G57, which is fine. It's not filling the same role, and it's just a solid little secondary to have if you're running sniper rifles. Now, what impressed me a little bit less is the new shotgun. Don't get me wrong, it's fun to use. It does what a shotgun does, but personally I'm going to pick the MCS or the 12mm auto over this one because their performance is just that bit better, I feel. For some reason, it felt like the shots weren't doing as much damage as I expected. I think shotguns overall have had a nerf this season, and to be honest, there's probably some scuffed round that you unlock later on with this gun, but I just haven't got it yet. But as it stands, its base form is decent, but nothing to really write home about. What I can say though is what will keep me picking this gun is its design. I love the ammo counter. I just wish we'd got an assault rifle this season with an ammo counter like the classic Aliens rifle. Now getting onto the XM8, although I covered this one in my Vault gun review, my opinion has changed a little bit for it. I now see it in a bit more of a positive light after testing it further. Its damage is good, its range is good, its accuracy is good, it's pretty much a little laser beam, but to be honest, I just don't really mesh with it that well. I'm not quite sure why. It feels like a middle ground between an LMG and an AR, and for some reason that just doesn't really compute with my playstyle very much. But I do respect all the people that really love this gun. It's clearly a good pick. However, what I wasn't as impressed by was the A91. It unfortunately falls into the portal gun pitfalls where it just doesn't really do that well with damage or accuracy compared to others, and to be honest, I would be happy running anything else in the assault rifle class. It's a fun gun, just with a little short range and damage that doesn't really satisfy what I need it for. It was quite fun running it with the suppressor and the laser, as I said in my previous video, but if I want to do that seriously, I can just use the AKS. Now getting on to the brand new beefy tank, the Tor. Personally, I think this one is pretty great. Its sound design is on point, its visual design is on point. The railgun is satisfying to use and awesome at taking out vehicles and infantry alike as long as you get direct hits. Its movement speed is pretty damn fast when you're not in siege mode, and when you're in siege mode, you hunker down, get those shots firing faster, and it really is a lot of fun to use. So I'd recommend trying this one if you haven't. Even if you're not a tank player, it's just quite a satisfying vehicle, and personally I really like it. Now the throwing knives are also one I've seen people say are overpowered, and maybe on PC they are, but I can say on console, you're better off using a gun in pretty much every situation you can use these with, and the reason for that is, on console there is no aim assist for them. They're used as a normal throwable, therefore when you're hovering over an enemy or go past them, no aim assist will help you, even if you're looking directly at them as you do so. But they are a little meme throwable to use, and I do quite like them, despite my testing giving me a lot of pain. Now we have had quite a few more improvements. The big one here is the vehicle rework. This has proved to be a massive change for me, seeing a lot more diversity in vehicles across the battlefield. To be honest, it's just been really cool seeing jets back in the air, coupled with different types of tanks, anti-air tanks filling their roles properly because you can now pick them easily. It's an update I've been waiting for a while, and it hasn't disappointed. And for the most part, it seems like they got the vehicle counts right on each map, and I'm just super happy with this change. I also much prefer the new ping system revamp. It's just pretty seamless and smooth to use. And we've had a few more little changes that you can find in my previous video covering this update. But one more that I noticed, which I found quite cool, was that the tornado is now more detailed. I think I remember it throwing up containers and more debris, maybe in the beta or at launch, but I think it was scaled down for performance issues, but we're back here now, and the tornado looks a lot more destructive, and even if it is just artificial destruction and not actually affecting the map, it does add to the effect a lot more. It's great seeing parts of the ship undiscarded, like here, being thrown up into the sky, and yeah, it's just nice to see these effects return to the game. Unfortunately, this season hasn't come without its hiccups. Now, some of these are exclusive to console, specifically the PS5, and I'll get into those now. Now, what I was mentioning before with a problem with the railgun is that when you're hit with it, there is no haptic feedback, and this carries on for all of the weapons put into this season. The vault weapons, the base game weapons, all of them. A big indicator of when you're taking damage is haptic feedback on controller. Now, this might sound like something that I'm blowing out of proportion, but it really is another crutch that you use, and when it's taken away, you really feel it. You might think that audio and visual cues are enough, but it does become a sixth sense for the player, on console at least. I'm not sure if it's the same on Xbox, but you just don't get any haptic feedback when being shot. I also don't have any footage for this, but MK's grapple gun has seemingly become more inconsistent. As somebody with around 300 hours in MK, this one I have really felt. Some instances on maps, I've pulled out my grapple gun, fired it at surface, gone halfway and then it's cut off for no reason, or I fired it and it's hit and bounced straight back when it really shouldn't. And to be honest, it's just been a lot more inconsistent after update 3.0, and I would love to see this fixed because it's really jarring. And finally, for this short little bug list, we have a bug with turrets that I also don't have footage for, unfortunately. But it is a real thing. It's nothing too jarring, but sometimes turrets don't follow that animation properly, they stutter when turning, and it makes it kind of hard to aim at certain targets because you're moving in increments rather than being smooth. It's hard to explain, but there is a bug present related to that at the moment. But overall, Season 3 has just been a massive improvement for me concerning Battlefield 2042. There's been a lot of small changes, as I said, covered in my last video, that have helped the quality of life immensely. The game is really heading in the right direction, and it's safe to say that for people who thought Battlefield had left, Battlefield is now back. in full force, it's here to stay. We have content into year 2, and I'm just here for the ride. It's going to be a great one, and Season 3 proves with its maps, specialist, weapons, and vehicle that it's ready for it. Now, if you'd like to come and talk to me or anybody else that loves this game, head over to the link in the description to the NoSalt Discord. We'd love to have you there. We're talking everything Season 3 at the moment, our unlocks, our opinions. It's great. And if you'd like to touch up on your lore knowledge, go and visit the Exodus archives run by Comet. He's a very talented writer who covers everything lore related in Battlefield 2042. Anyway, thank you for watching. I've used up enough of your time as it is. I hope to see you again, and I hope you did enjoy.